Right. I'm thrilled to introduce to my community today Christin McIlwain, co-owner therapist at her counseling practice, and she's a licensed professional clinical counselor who works with adults, couples, and families, specializing in neurodivergence and emotional wellness, which I'm so excited about for our community today. Christin is passionate about helping clients better understand themselves, navigate life's challenges, and build resilience with compassion and authenticity. Kristen believes therapy is one of the most profound forms of self care and is dedicated to helping others recognize that they are enough just as they are. We could just stop right there because if everybody could believe that, we'd be in a better
Oh,
place.
that's
Welcome,
it. That's the
Kristen.
key to it. Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for
Thank
having me today.
Thank you so much for coming on. I'm so excited to pick your brain and just feel very blessed. You and I actually, I'm going to call it backyard neighbors. We live in the same town and got
Yeah.
introduced through lacrosse, which was amazing. Yes. So I'm going to shush and throw the mic your direction, but just to lure our listeners in here, because I definitely feel like I have a lot of women who have been later on in life diagnosed with ADHD, have definitely seen this because I got my kids checked out. I'm now recognizing I have it. And it's really weaving into a lot of our health conversations because it feels like there's just a different path. And I feel like you and I were having some fun banter back and forth with that. So if you want to rewind a little bit and just tell us how you narrowed down to this neurodivergence piece and where your passion comes with it, and then kind of what your clientele looks like.
Awesome. Love it. I'm going to begin with what you said. I did start out as a special ed teacher in public schools for 10 years. So I was on the beginning end of neurodiversity. And when I say neurodiversity, I mostly work with autism and ADHD, and sometimes those combined. So those are what I consider neurodiverse. And sometimes my clients like to and feel more comfortable with that label than ADHD or autism. So that's just something I like to say now. But I will say my journey began from the other end of early intervention, which is critical. And then it was so interesting how when I switched careers to counseling, I wasn't necessarily in this niche. And then it found me. Client after client, I couldn't not see it. And I was like, wow, this does just so align with what I've already learned and studied and what I've already lived. And I'm so glad this came to me. And then I just dove right in.
Mm.
And I will say, you're exactly right. The maternal link to ADHD, especially, they have found is it's even more linked to maternal than paternal. And so the pathway right now for our generation is their kids being diagnosed and them hearing more about it and then recognizing it within themselves.
Mm.
And for women, we tend to be socialized as we are great listeners and we're rule followers. And so those symptoms don't appear the same way. So women and girls tend to internalize it more. So they might be sitting there quietly, but their brains are overworking, overthinking, anxious. And the boys next to them who do maybe get diagnosed are jumping out of their seats. They are externalizing the exact same feelings and the exact same brain activity in a different way. And so if you get good grades and you're following the rules, that is going to not be seen. And then I think as we get older and there are more demands in motherhood and your brain is brought into all these different worries and needs that all of a sudden you recognize it.
It makes so much sense.
Yeah.
And I can tell you right now, I know there's so many listeners going, yes, thank you. If they haven't experienced yet, I know their wheels are spinning that like that might be me. That might be. And it's interesting that between the sexes, between female and male, that there really is this discrepancy of how it's being diagnosed or seen or not caught in the first place. So
Yep.
again, yes, thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you for describing that. And this term neurodivergence, because I think this is important to just unpack that a little bit more, dive into it so that somebody can go, okay, yes, 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 I get that.
Yeah, yeah. So neurodivergence is, I believe, a very socially acceptable term. And like I said, I think makes some people feel more comfortable and they might identify as that rather than use autism or spectrum disorder or ADHD. And the term was coined by a professor to explain and lump them all together because there are a lot of similarities. Now, if you look under the full umbrella of neurodivergence, it will include dyslexia and some other differences in learning in general. For my work, just what I tend to see is more the autism, ADHD, or them together.
Okay. Yes, which makes total sense. So, okay, now I want to pull in why people are going, okay, why are we talking about this? It's health and
Yeah.
fitness. I want to ask this, yes, just that, like, why do you feel like this can affect somebody's ability to maintain consistency in their health habits, whether that's nutrition or fitness? Because I feel like I witnessed it firsthand with a client one time go, "Ah, I get why somebody can't hand me a goal list and I just chunk down it because I feel like I'm a pretty high achieving woman with a great career and blah, blah. And I cannot do this whole health and fitness, hand me a goal and stick to it
Yeah.
thing."
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And so, what I can say, especially about that, is that it will show up in all areas. So, there is not any area of your life where you're not going to be impacted by neurodivergence, right?
Mm,
Because it is your brain. And so, that shows up in all areas. And that is one of the diagnostic factors that we have to look at. It can't be just at school and it can't be just at home. It has to be in everywhere. So,
mm,
of course, it is also going to show up when we are trying to take care of our body in healthy ways and especially setting goals. There are a lot of doctors that consider ADHD more of a motivation deficit than an attention deficit. And
mm,
so that's why that goal list doesn't get completed. That the motivation is what is really hard to find. And then we are sometimes taught, wait till you feel motivated and then move forward. But actually, sometimes we just have to go, and that motivation is never going to show up. And so, what I would say would help in these areas, in these goal setting areas, is to externalize the motivation. Sometimes motivation might show up in buying that gym membership, and that payment will help motivate you to get there
mhm,
every day. Motivation might show up in adding some dopamine hit to it. So, like if you're meal planning or if you're setting up for the week, you are listening to a comedian, you are listening to your favorite podcast, you save it for that time, you are making sure this is hitting. It's really about hacking your brain and understanding it. And I have found to be one of the biggest pitfalls of late diagnosis is that you end up being so self-loathing and
mm,
blaming yourself, just like
mhm.
that goal list not getting completed. And when you see that for so many years and you don't have a reason for it, it can be so harmful to your self-esteem. And so it's really understanding that it's separate from that and understanding how to separate your brain from that and from yourself and how to serve it best.
Mm. I have chills as you're talking because I'm like, oh, I know it makes me want to go back and hold people's hands from much younger
Oh,
years because
yeah.
the shame piece that comes with it, the failure piece of I was given this and I didn't follow through. I got so excited about this and I started it and I didn't follow through. And they're feeling like it's like all their fault, where it's like, man, if they had a you and right along with them to hold their hand through it, you would have been like, we're just going to try it differently. We're just going to attack it a different way until it works. We're going to figure out which piece clicks for you. I think that's hopeful to know that there's a
Yeah.
different side of this.
Mhm.
But then it's also like you do the therapy sessions, the shame piece is hard.
So big.
Can you walk us through what would be some of your talk with that patient? What would be some of the therapy to unravel, unpack what has happened already in life all the way up to that point?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I think the most important thing, and you mentioned it in my opener, is self-compassion. And also adding in some self-compassion, learning how to talk to yourself as you would a best friend,
Mhm.
and hopefully changing some of those already created brain wires that have led to this shame cycle that you can go down. And so shifting that a bit, I believe externalization is wonderful to say. I have some clients name their brain. And
Mhm.
then they're like, well, Sylvia today was trying to tell me that I couldn't do this. And I was like, no, Sylvia, I can do it. And that's actually insanely helpful. Or like, my brain is telling me this, but I want to do this. And that is another shift. And honestly, like you said, talking about it, As Brene Brown says, shame dies when it's voiced. Just walking through it, that like, this is what I carry shame for. And then for another person to sit in it with you, to feel it, and to normalize it.
Yes. Ah, yes, I was going to say normalize and to feel heard. I can, as I sit across from some of my clients, especially if they've had parents who've shushed them their whole life, like you're too loud, you're too much, you're blah, and they've never been understood for who they are.
Yeah.
Again, to get to sit in a therapy session and have somebody go, I know I 1000% get you. And we're
Yeah.
just going to work through things differently. Ah, yes.
To add to that, shushing that inner voice that has been there for so long, that critical inner voice.
hmm How does one come out of that? If you've been shushed your whole life, if you've always felt like because you've had this little bit of extra energy, or you haven't been able to be the one to peacefully just chill on the couch with your friends or whatnot, where's some talk around that of letting people again realize that it's normal?
Yep.
And I don't know what, yeah, kind
Yeah,
of walk through how you treat clients and how you can send them out the door.
absolutely. I think it's first in understanding, and we tend to, especially with neurodivergent people, a lot of them I encounter tend to be way more in their brains and minds, right? So at first we want to rewire that logic so they may know that it's because of this reason, but it takes a little bit longer and some more practice and work to get to feeling
Mm,
it, to get to truly understanding it and truly unmasking and allowing it. And then that slow movement towards, I would say, unmasking and being your full self, especially in adulthood, that it becomes more and more comfortable. So it's pushing through the discomfort and the shift.
yes, and it takes practice, right?
Yes, it does. It takes so much practice,
So
unfortunately.
much.
There was a magic wand,
Ah,
all of this. But the
yeah.
beautiful part is that our brains are malleable and they can change. So that's wonderful. It can happen, but it does take consistency and practice.
Right. And I think it's like showing individuals how much practice,
Yes.
because there's so many moments where it's like, I've been doing this for a year, and it's like, it might take two or three. That's hard to tell somebody. So it better be fun along the journey.
Yes, yes, yes. It's also
Yeah.
just not linear. There it is two steps forward, sometimes one step back, sometimes two steps forward, two steps back. It is not always linear,
Mhm.
but it is possible. I've seen it. I always joke if I'm good at my job, I work myself out of a job. I want
Mhm.
to build that resiliency and those new brain patterns and those new actions within you. And I step away.
I love that. Oh, I love that so much. I was curious if we could go through some examples and see what your advice would be around it. Because I picture sometimes when somebody who's neurodivergent walks into a grocery store, there's a lot of dings and visuals and distractions. Can you walk us through? Let's just start with grocery store to maybe even the starting of putting the grocery list together. Why can this whole piece be pretty tricky?
Yes, yes, that's okay. So another thing to kind of add to this is that, like I said before, motivation deficit, and it's not necessarily an attention deficit. It's almost like too much attention. You just
Mhm.
named it perfectly. Walking into that store is so bright, so overwhelming. I am late diagnosed, and personally, I have not walked into a grocery store for more than three items in probably over 10 years. And that is purposeful. And my groceries get delivered because that is like, cutting down steps for me and cutting down overwhelm. So it's going to be personal. And like you said in the previous podcast, like, how can we cut that friction?
Mhm.
So when you understand, know, and accept your brain, how do you cut that friction? How do you cut down the steps?
Mhm.
So for me, it's Kroger delivery. It was Kroger pickup. I will never forget my son was 4 years old in the backseat of my car, and we were waiting for Kroger pickup, and he saw a kid like walk into Kroger's with his mom, and he stopped and
Yeah.
was like, "Mom, that kid just walked in there." And he like legit had never been in. He thought like kids were not allowed. And I
The
was like,
grocery store.
"Oh, nobody. So kids are allowed. I've chosen to just never take you."
It's a personal choice. It saves me.
It's too overwhelming for me. It's going to be too overwhelming for you. You being overwhelmed, like it's all going to be bad. All going to be bad. So
Ah,
I feel like that is the key to all of it. How can you
yeah.
cut down on friction and cut down on steps in meaningful ways for you. And maybe you love grocery shopping and that's not
Mhm.
the step you cut down on.
Mhm.
Perfect.
Mhm.
What do you cut down on, or what can you let's externalize that executive functioning as much as we can, right? Like externalize it to, for me, Kroger delivery, externalize it for you that your partner does the meal planning, but you're the one that enjoys picking it up
Mhm.
because you want to pick it out. Whatever, however you can like externalize,
Mhm.
cut down the overwhelm for yourself.
Hmm. That's so interesting. Yes, because I feel like, again, working with a woman, high functioning women crowd, there's a
I
little bit
know,
of that
yes.
delegation piece that I'm like, who's listening?
Loss of control. Yes. Yes,
Hmm.
you have to be able to choose what do you want to let go of, because
Hmm.
we do need to let go of some of it.
We do. And I even feel like from a coaching piece on my end, there's a lot of permission. And I'm sure you
Oh,
do this
I'm
too.
so glad you said that. Yes, yes.
Right. Permission to spend if it's a $5 to $10 for the delivery fee, because that for some people, it's like that does not sit well with my soul if I can walk in and go grab it.
I feel like I should honestly get paid by Kroger delivery because all that I've done. But to buy a year of deliveries, it's $60. And if you catch it, they have a sale like once a year and you get 50% off. So I paid $30 for this year and I get Kroger's delivered every time. And you are not allowed to tip. They do pay their delivery people very well. They also offer college credits, and so it feels really good. And I always give 5 stars, but you're supposed to not tip either. So,
Okay, you're literally unpacking the conversation I just had with a client because we were down to saying the delivery piece or the
yeah,
pickup piece, and she's like, "But then I'm tipping, and then there's this, and I
nope.
feel bad."
As long as you do Kroger's. Now, Kroger's has an option to do the other thing. I can't think of it right now where they shop for you. It's like another, but as long as you on the app choose just Kroger delivery, that's how it works.
Yep. Thank you. You should promote for this. You're
I can't
welcome,
tell you how many
Kroger.
clients I have gotten on Kroger delivery, and
Yeah.
I'm not like we're not always talking about health, but it's too many. You probably sit in this space all the time too, but we're the beginning of that, and we give the permission, and then the goal is for them to give themselves the permission.
Yes.
Like you said, to buy the pre-cut vegetables, to buy the pre-cut watermelon, do it for yourself. If that feels too overwhelming
Mhm.
to you.
Mhm.
Or like another life hack for me in cooking has been we've gone from Hello Fresh, now we're at Home Chef, but like just have everything come together and I don't have to think about it helped my brain so, so much in the kitchen.
Right. And I feel like even when finances are a piece of this,
Yeah.
we could take any of those segments you just said, and as long as we keep it in short-term mentality, none of this has to be a forever. What we're
Yep.
trying to do is normalize to level the nervous system to get us to this like functioning piece of ease. And then we can pick out the other pieces. Then we can talk about chopping the vegetables, or then we can talk
Yes.
about prepping the full more than 5 ingredient dinner.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm so glad you pointed that out. Thank you so much because really the next best step is the one that will repeat, that your brain will repeat. So if your brain will repeat this and then you can expand from there. Or we went without it for over a year and I just saved the cards and I still had those cards and I knew exactly what to buy from HelloFresh, from Kroger's. And that was good for my brain after I got used to that. So it is next best step is what will your brain repeat?
Yes. And again, takes practice. The repeat comes after practice, practice, practice,
Yep.
practice. Yes.
Yep.
And then I was also listening to a podcast on this because I really liked the mental load piece and like really getting your foundation poured first
Oh,
and then all going into what we're talking about.
yeah.
But I finally had somebody go, I'm looking at everything as blocks. Sleep's a block, nutrition, fitness, movement, all of this. And she's like, you don't care if I do anything with like she was trying to build with her blocks already. And she was like, I needed the permission to just stare at them to start to understand them. And I'm like, if our mental load space is where we don't even quite know how to position just our foundational pieces, and then we're trying to decide if we're going organic or not, or then we're trying to decide, should I work out in the morning or night? And should it be 30 minutes of cardio and 20 minutes of lifting? How do we build the foundation? What's kind of your thought around all of that?
That is such a beautiful way to say it. And I love how that permission came out. And you're exactly right. It's slowing down.
Mhm.
It's going to the basics. And that can feel really overwhelming. But if you start to better understand yourself and build a sustainable structure, or at least, like we were saying, the next steps, it doesn't have to be forever. It will provide you with that additional capacity that
Okay.
is needed.
Yes. Thank you. So additional capacity comes when we can systemize something else.
Yes. I would
Okay.
say that when something else feels more manageable and easier. So, like you were saying, those blocks, I tell people all the time, I will have clients come in here and be like, okay, well, I need to work on my sleep. I need my anxiety. I might be want to change careers. Whoa, 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 whoa. No human can do that all at once. So, where is best? Where feels right for you to start first? And let's look at that block. And
Mhm.
then slowly the blocks and the foundation will build themselves.
That's good. I like that. Yes. You're obviously like letting them have the autonomy to choose what's their. Mhm.
What's most, I don't want to say urgent because urgency can sometimes confuse us. What feels
Mhm.
most important?
Mhm. That gives, I always feel like the most ripples too. Does
I mean, I
sleep
think
give the
you
next?
you you named it though. I mean, sleep is the biggest predictor of our mood. If you're trying to increase capacity, I would say sleep is probably the best to start with for almost everyone.
This was you and I talking at the lacrosse party. We're both like, we cherish our sleep. I'm like, we can be friends. We can
It
hang out.
needs to be cherished. Yes. Oh, it so needs to be cherished.
We would get each other if we both left a party at 10 o'clock
Yes.
at night because it's
Yes.
bedtime. Peace out.
Absolutely. Bye. Yes. And I love my people. I'm an extrovert, but I still
Mhm.
like, I have this line. I'm going to bed.
Yes, yes. And that's another permission piece. Do you feel like the people pleaser person really struggles to do the walk away, set the bedtime, say no to a social scene because sleep should prioritize?
Course. You're exactly
Yeah.
right. It's back to what we said at the beginning that we can't deny that girls are, I think it's also innate in us. So it's why it's kind of easier to be socialized that way, right? Like
Mhm.
we're the carriers of babies, we're the moms. So we are naturally going to be more caregiving. So then when we are also socialized that way, a little innateness, a little socialized, it's going to come out that we're always thinking about the others. We're
Yes.
always set like that. And then if your brain is always taking that in, yes, you're thinking, will the person who invited me to this party be angry if I go home and sleep? And you
Mhm.
get this permission point where honestly, I don't care,
Great.
right? Like
Yes.
not that I don't care about others. I do still care about others,
Mhm.
but I have to prioritize what I need. And also sometimes people pleasing is actually a little bit more about control, trying to control what people think about you. So if you build up
Mhm.
yourself and you're proud of yourself and you're aware that if you do make a mistake, you'll apologize for it, any mistake. And if you feel strong and sturdy in that, then you no longer want to control what people think about you. And you can
Yeah.
say, loved being here. Thank you so much for throwing this best party. And I am so tired. Let's catch up later. I'm going to go to bed. And there you go.
Great. Oh, yeah, you nailed it on the you can apologize if you really did mess up. I love
Yes.
that you just said that because very rarely do we wake up the next day and go, I owe that person an apology. Instead, we're like, I'm so glad I went to bed when I went to bed.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And we can get in
Ah,
those same spirals back to all of
mm,
that. But instead, just standing strong, especially now, right? We have 24 hours communication with us. Like, if feel really sturdy that you'll do what's best. And if you need to do something for yourself, do that. And then you can always make amends if something goes wrong.
yeah. I feel like I need to ask this, and I hope this does not come across in any way of an offensive manner. But sometimes with the ADHD piece or neurodivergence piece, that some people feel like, I know life is hard for other people, but it's harder for me. And I see that. And then I also want to ask you in a gentle way, is there a piece where you see some of your clients almost using it as an accidental crutch? I do not mean that in any
Nope.
way as a,
I think that's a very, very fair question. And it is something that each person has to balance out. And the phrase I use a lot is like, it is a reason, right? It is a reason. It's not an excuse, though. And
Mhm.
while it is a reason, that means that we can begin to understand it and we can shift
Mhm.
it. It's not unchangeable part of our brain, especially
Mhm.
now in 2026, right? Like there is so much research, there is a lot of data, there are a lot of options for how you can use it and how you can really make it a superpower, is what I like to say. Once you harness it, like it's
Yeah,
a superpower. So that's where it becomes a reason, but not an excuse.
I love that. Yes. And that once we kind of recognize that it is a reason, we need different tools
Yes.
to work with it.
Yes. And those different tools are not crutches. Yes.
Right.
Right. Like you're
Gosh,
you're right.
no. Yes. They're
Mhm.
again superpowers when we
Yeah.
pull in resources. And the interesting piece, and tell me even in like therapy world, because I've had people go to different therapists who aren't trained in this specialty area.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're still left with this, like, I don't think they get me feeling. And I'm like, oh, then we're not at the right person yet.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I
Okay.
believe everybody needs a therapist. I'm not everybody's therapist. You have to feel so comfortable. They have to feel really good too, right? It goes both ways because we're humans in this really vulnerable space. And the number one predictor of positive therapy and outcome is the relationships between the therapist and the client. So that is what I always recommend, right? And if you do happen to know that you have ADHD already, that is something you can look into. Find someone who specializes in it so that they can better understand your brain than just someone who, if they list 18 things they specialize in and ADHD is one of them, I'd be a little leery.
Yeah,
But
we're looking for number one
yes,
or
if they
two.
list
Yeah.
like a couple and ADHD is one, I really, really recommend, and our office always does like 15-minute video phone consults. So it really helps before you even set up that first appointment. Feel the vibe. Feel the
Yeah.
vibe. You can actually even tell in that 15 minutes, like this is for me or this isn't, and everyone moves on.
Yeah, no, that's so good. I love that your office does that. I love that we were talking about this, you have multiple therapists with multiple specialties, and that you all attract your own clientele, which is always fun. We're magnets to who needs us. Tell us other specialties within your practice.
Yeah. And I heard recently we create the clientele we need. We create the space that we need, which is really interesting. So, what I created was what I need too.
Mhm.
Help with ADHD and being a mom. And that's the space I created. But
Mhm.
yes, but we all have those different specialties. We
Yeah.
have a therapist here who was a previous midwife, and she now specializes in postpartum and parenting and has this dual lived experience. On that topic, we also have Cincy Postpartum in our space, which is for moms of babies 6 weeks to 12 weeks old to come and connect in that really scary
Mhm.
and isolating season and to bring some
Yes.
community. And we also offer dad circles for the same reason, so that these dads can connect in this season of life.
Mhm.
And we have therapists that specialize in OCD and eating disorders. We also have a sex therapist who helps with addictions and any behaviors that might fall under that umbrella, which is super helpful and imperative and can sometimes be even more shame than mental health in general. Shame dies when it's brought into the light. So she's one that does that powerful work. We have another therapist who does specialize also in ADHD, and she also does trauma and provides EMDR, which is a very wonderful way to really work through some trauma that people have experienced. And we have another therapist that specializes in the emotionally focused couples counseling and in narcissistic abuse. So, kind of helping people who have to recover from that and find a way out of that.
Well done, Kristen. Wow, good job.
Thank you. We've been saying this whole time, it's also not static. It's not stuck in stone. As we grow and develop, if these niches change for them
Mhm.
as individuals and for them as clients, we're going to lean into that and allow that and shift to whatever's.
Yes. Thank
But if
you.
you,
Yeah.
if you call us and we don't have something that fits what you need, I have such a rich referral source and we'll send you to where you want to go. Because again, I don't have to be everyone's therapist, but I think everyone needs one.
I agree. And thank you for saying it that way too. Man, if we looked at our medical professionals like this in general, whether it's a physician, a therapist, a dietitian, our personal trainers, even, I think we live sometimes too long in a relationship that isn't the best fit.
Yes. Back to the
It,
people pleasers, right? Like they'll be mad if I
yes.
leave. Yes.
Yes. And it's like, wait, you haven't experienced what's awesome yet. And once you do, you would not have sat in that other space that long. So it's scary. You don't want to offend people. And I was just going to say, from a permission standpoint, if we have clients,
Yes.
listeners who are with a therapist and they feel like they have outgrown them, it is time to move on. Can you give them the exact words that they should say to their therapist?
I love that so, so much. Such a good question. And I do give permission all the time because, again, that also can happen. You can love your therapist and then you outgrow. You've changed
Mhm.
seasons, they've changed seasons, something isn't feeling right anymore. And you
Mhm.
also shouldn't be with someone for too long because then you become a little bit too much of like an echo chamber, a positive echo chamber. So what I would say to that is yes, permission. I have personally outgrown therapists, and I will say what I have done is sent the email. So I really prefer to have an answer. And I know it can be difficult face to face. I feel like it's difficult face to face. I
Yeah.
also know that it's not personal and sometimes you outgrow or sometimes it's just not the right fit.
Yeah.
So in those cases, permission to send that email that like, hey, I've loved getting to know you. Thank you so much for your support. And I think I need to cancel future sessions as I'm
Mhm.
going to look elsewhere, or I'm feeling that this isn't quite the right fit. Thank you so much again. Anything
Okay.
along those lines, short and simple and sweet. I think that's more honest to me than just not responding anymore
You
or just
stop showing.
being,
Yeah.
yeah, just give a reason because it's actually not personal, really. Like you said, we want to sit in a space where you're growing and it should be
Yeah.
comfortable. And if you're sitting in that space and it's not anymore, you have permission to change that.
Is it appropriate to ask for a referral?
Absolutely.
Okay. Mhm.
Absolutely. Like, hey, you know what? As we've been in this work together, I've kind of recognized I need someone who specializes a little more in ADHD. Do you have any referrals?
Okay.
Yep.
Fabulous. Yes. So I don't want to leave this. You put on retreats, and I know that takes some effort. I'm so proud of you.
As you
And they are,
know, yes.
well, they are so satisfying and so amazing for both providers and clients. Like they're the
Yes.
best. Tell us about your retreat and for our Cincinnati people, as well as anybody who would want to fly in. But
Yeah, absolutely. So
yeah.
we are holding our first annual retreat. It is specifically for moms, and it is really all about being able to let go and be taken care of for the weekend. So it's taking place in Red River Gorge, and we do have an itinerary that includes yoga, breath work, some group work. Also, if you want to come, bring a book and sit in your room, that's also fine. It's all invitation. I want you to take the time you need during this. All food is provided, everything will be done for you, and you can choose to or not to engage in what we offer, just to come be you and hopefully be a part of a community.
Yes, it sounds drool worthy. I keep waiting to see where soccer takes us this summer because it's all up
I
in
know.
the air, but I'm like, oh, it sounds amazing.
I know, I know. I still hope you can join. We actually have sold out of our shared rooms, and right now we only have 3 private rooms available. So, hoping to get a few more like-minded women in there to come join us.
Yes, just again, so proud of you. I love that you're doing that. And speaking of people out of town, do you do virtual
Yes, yes.
consults? Okay.
I do virtual. All the therapists can see anyone virtually within Ohio. And we
Hmm.
have a couple therapists who are also licensed in other states. So I'm also licensed in Florida. We have a couple people in Kentucky. One of our clinicians is in North and South Dakota. So it's we're
Worth
in
asking.
yes, yes. Unfortunately, the United States
Yes.
not like come together where you can see someone anywhere. But yes, virtual is always an option.
Okay, well, that's fabulous. And I love that you offer that discovery call just so they can get a quick idea how that feels. There's so many barriers for so many people on trying to find a therapist. So the idea of just hang on, just talk for 15 minutes and see how it goes. It's your walk through the door, the dip the toe in the water piece. Hmm.
Exactly. Exactly.
Hmm. What am I not asking you that you would really like our community to know?
Oh, that was so good. Such a good question. I think as I was reflecting on what to bring today, I think we talked about most of it, but I just want to quickly review.
Yeah.
So, if you struggle with executive functioning, keeping things simple and what will lead to the most sustainable. So, how can you cut down on barriers, cut down on steps? That's huge. Any steps you can cut down on will help your brain better repeat it. Also, adding some dopamine to some of the boring tasks because part of the brain really loves routine and structure. This is kind of the oxymoron of it, like routine and structure, but then also loves novelty. So really trying to be gentle with yourself, that routine and structure and some flexible order. So like have that order in there and have some flexibility with it so that you can really harness that superpower. I was also going to say trying to avoid that all or nothing thinking. And you did talk about this. Okay, if I fail today, I have to wait till Monday. Set up some contingency emergency plans, like frozen meals that, okay, sodium might be high, but it's better than doing DoorDash tonight. And not just, I failed, I'm done, I'm all the way out. So giving yourself permission to take these small steps. Also, one last thing, habit stacking. So I think that's a huge thing for the ADHD brain, and to help it get better is like, what habits do you already have? So like you brush your teeth every morning, right? If you brush your teeth every morning and that's when you want to go on a walk or a jog, even 10 minutes, put your gym shorts right next to your toothbrush.
Yeah.
You brush your teeth, you put those on, you go. Another hack is like you wake up, put on your gym shoes, and it actually tells your body and brain to move. So a
Yeah.
couple of little hacks to help your brain harness that superpower
Mm.
and to take away that shame cycle.
Oh, that was so good, Kristen. You gave me a new idea forever on the podcast is to have every guest task them with a summary at the end because that was like
Oh,
priceless.
good, good. I was hoping my brain's all over the place right now too.
No, it was perfect. And I love that we ended with the habit stacking piece. And just for any listener, this is really helpful for all of us.
Of course, you're exactly right.
It makes us more efficient and not waiting on motivation, doing the thing first and then followed up with the feeling of motivation. It's in the opposite order of what we think it should be. And I just thank you. You're so eloquently spoken, and I appreciate how well you can get your point across. You're so good. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. And
Yes.
I look forward to continued conversations with you in any way I can help.
Absolutely. This is not goodbye. We'll pull you back on because this is the funny thing. I have like two printed off pages of questions and I didn't make it to like five.
I love
That's
it.
okay.
We have more to talk about. I'm ready.
All right. Have a great day.
Awesome. Thanks. You too.